Joining us tonight with more insight is Harley Lippman. He's a geopolitical analyst and sits on the American-Israel Public Affairs Committee, a pro-Israel lobbying organization. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. You met recently with the ambassador of Qatar this week. So can you sort of give us an idea of what kind of roadmap to a longer truce this might be? And do you get the feeling that both sides are motivated to end this war?
Well, both sides are motivated to end the war. Well, Hamas would like the war to end now while they haven't been decimated and they still could maintain power. So Hamas would like the conflict to end. For Israel, it's much more problematic because while for the families, this is a wonderful thing that hostages are being released, it actually puts Israel in an extremely difficult position. One is that it only encourages more hostage taking because Hamas got a big victory. What did they have to show the Palestinian people until today? For the last 49 days, they had nothing to show. Now they could show they got out approximately, whatever the number is going to be, 100, 150 Palestinian prisoners who were convicted.
And who are these prisoners exactly? We know there's women, there's teenagers, but who are they? Can you tell us more about those that were held in Israeli prisons and those who may be still being held? What are they charged with?
Well, like the United States, they're only in Israeli prisons if they went to trial and they were convicted, so there's no moral equivalent. The Israeli hostages were people who were just living their life. People went to a music concert, a peace music concert, ironically enough, or people that were in their home with their families, or teenage daughters who were sitting in their bedroom and were raped brutally by Hamas. This is, the people who were taken hostage, most of them lost families now, even though they're coming back missing parents and brothers, sisters who were murdered. But I think for Israel, it's really problematic because they said they had two goals at the outset of the war: the release of all the hostages and the destruction of Hamas. This looks more difficult to do if you're creating a truce, because Hamas now has been on their back. They're now able to recover.
Can we turn our attention a little bit to the West Bank? Because it hasn't just been Gaza. There's been outbreaks of violence in the West Bank. So who is sort of watching that to make sure that tensions don't flare up in that area as well? And is there a concern that this could be another hotspot, giving Israel a war on two fronts, so to speak?
For sure, Israel is prepared for a war on six fronts, which it's encountering now. The Houthis in Yemen have been firing drones at Israel. Israel's been fired at from Syria, from Hezbollah in Lebanon. There's acts of terrorism in Israel. Hamas is still firing rockets into Israel. But I think in the bigger picture, Holly, what people have to realize, that this was created in Russia, orchestrated by Iran, and then implemented by Hamas. So this is really a conspiracy of Iran and Russia trying to minimize U.S. dominance in the region and also disrupt the notion that Saudi Arabia and Israel will make peace with each other. That's what's really behind it. I think that's really the big picture here.
Let's talk. I want to talk about the Palestinian citizens, not terrorists, not anybody associated with Hamas. I know Israel has told them, please move south, get out of the harm's way in the north. But as you said, the Hamas is somewhat on their backs, and they have been basically rendered sort of useless in some ways, except for those hostages. So what are the chances that they move south or they go amongst those Palestinian citizens towards the south? Are Palestinians safe there? Will Israel need to start to try to route them out in the southern part? And is there enough space for all those Palestinians to stay safe?
I think if the Palestinians follow the guidance of Israel, they will be safe, because Israel does not want to kill innocent Palestinians. If Israel wanted to do it, they could have wiped them all out a long time ago. So Israel has the capability to do that. So obviously that they haven't done it, and the population increases dramatically in Gaza shows there's no genocide and there's no deliberate attempt to kill Palestinian civilians. And in fact, when Palestinian civilians die, and Israel is trying to do everything they can to avoid that happening, it makes Israel look really bad. Israel looks like they're committing genocide, they're killing, and innocent Palestinians are dying. But the question is, who's responsible? It's Hamas.
And we know that this has been very polarizing around the country, and especially here in the United States. There's been pro-Israel, but also some pro-Palestinian protests. Criticizing a government, military, or even a terrorist group doesn't necessarily mean you're anti-Semitic or Islamophobic. So how do you draw that line between people who are just concerned about innocent civilians on both sides?
Okay, great question. Here's the difference. That if we stand for anything as a civilization, whatever your grievance, you can't deliberately kill innocent women, children, and elderly. That's the difference. And Hamas went in deliberately to rape women, mutilate people, kill babies intentionally. And that makes all the difference. And you can't say that it's pro-Palestinian versus pro-Israeli. This has nothing to do with being pro-Palestinian. Hamas doesn't care about the Palestinians. Why is it that there's not one air raid shelter in Gaza? They don't care about the Palestinians. Why is it that their top 3 leaders are worth $11 billion and they're living the good life in Qatar? Why? Because they don't care about the Palestinians. So that's the issue. This is not about Palestinian versus Israeli. This is about an ISIS Al-Qaeda group, Hamas, trying to murder as many people as possible.
Harley Lippman with the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your insight tonight.
Thank you, Holly.